Let's go to the videotape, thank you. All right, since we didn't adjourn or recess, I mean, we can just go right into it. And I think next thing is Ernie's report.
So I'd like to continue with the superintendent's report. Once again, congratulations to all of the music students and their staff and parents. That was fabulous. There are a number of reports that the superintendent must provide during the school year and on schedule as determined by the Department of Education. So in your packets, if you go to page 46, the very next page is a report that summarizes our own HIB self-assessment. So I want to tell you what that means. In New Jersey, the harassment, intimidation, and bullying law has many different components. So, for example, later on in closed session, we will go over our own monthly incident reports in the district. We will also, during the school year, if you recall, a part of this whole process is the electronic violence and vandalism report, which we provided in October. So this month I'm providing a report about the self-assessment. So self-assessment means that New Jersey requires each of the individual schools in every school district to review the HIB requirements and then rate themselves on how they believe, the school HIB committee believes that the school functioned during that year. So that's the report that you have in front of you. I want to tell you that the highest maximum score is a 78 on the district level. We scored ourselves a 71. And what that means is we have honest teachers reporting and administrators reporting on HIB and also on their self-evaluation piece. I went back, I want to first let you know that this report that you have in front of you is for the last school year. I compared it to 2 years ago. There's a difference of one point in the self-evaluation. What's important to really focus in on are the last 3 columns, in which these are all the compliance columns. And that is, we ask our school safety teams to look at HIB in terms of the reporting procedures. So each of our teams has indicated that they are complying in every way with the HIB reporting procedures, as well as the investigative procedures. So it's a good measure because it causes our teams to be reflective. I think that that's the real value of it. We look at ourselves, we get a sense also as we go through the process of whether we need anything based on the feedback from all the school safety teams. Is there anything that we need to do moving forward? So this is valuable data to us. Ron?
Dr. Plus, it says max 6 on the second to last, and then max 12.
Right.
And we have 12s all the way down. Like, does that mean we reached the max? Did we go over the max? Were we under
That
the
means
max?
that what happens is the school safety teams will look at, and they are saying that we are meeting all of the criteria in that column. So you'll see the way the state reports this out is, for example, column 1, HIB programs and approaches, the maximum score is 15.
I got you.
And our staff had varied from school to school, ranked themselves between 13 and 14. And then this process will be repeated during this school year so that you always have a baseline of data moving forward. I find it to be interesting. If you recall, when I first started 2 years ago, one of the very first topics that I discussed with you is that we really, in my view, needed to focus in on reporting everything out, in particular on the elementary level, because the numbers were so low and it just seemed unrealistic. So the big focus for me has been report everything, do all of the investigations. Even if the investigation seems like it's not going to go anywhere, we need to comply with the law. We need to ensure that students feel heard when they do have a sense that they might have been bullied or harassed or intimidated. And so I think we're doing that. And I think that this is a nice indicator for us moving forward. Questions about the self-evaluation? Anything to add, Natalie?
We met today to start talking about, they just released, the state farm just released a new anti-bullying rights self-assessment rating, so we are starting to work on that, and that is due October 31st, I believe. So we're beginning that process.
Anyone else? I just want to wrap up my report by thanking everyone. As you know, this is my last Board of Education meeting, and I just want to thank the members of the Board of Education for 2 fabulous years. You know, I didn't know I was going to be here a second year, and that was a pleasant surprise, but you guys really are terrific. And I think that the hallmark of this Board of Education has been that it takes us a while to discuss issues, that's okay, but every single time with every single decision that we have made a decision that's based on what is best for students. I want to commend you for that. I want to thank my central office staff, absolutely second to none. You guys are just terrific from the very beginning. I felt a sense of teamwork with all of you. You're skilled. You're also friends, and just a pleasure to work with. Our administrators in the district, I really inherited a very, very top-notch, wonderful school district, and maybe we did a few things to make it a little bit better. But, you know, what a great place Fairlawn is. Teachers are fabulous. Parents, as you could see tonight at our program, engaged, involved, want what's best for their kids. We have good dialogue, I think, with them. So I want to thank you for all of that. I also want to wish you all good luck. And I just, you know, when I say good luck, what I mean by that is, first, good luck. But also, you know, I spent a few minutes this afternoon trying to just write down some of the items that we said we wanted to work on next year. And it turned out to be quite a list. But number one, and on the top of my list, I mean, I'm so optimistic about the future of the Fairlawn District. We're starting in a good place. Next year we will have, starting very soon, a fabulous team of superintendent of schools and business administrator. I think that together there will be a long and I think productive and collaborative future. We have a strategic plan in place. The action plan, I think, is within 2 weeks of being completed. A really ambitious technology movement that's afoot. We had our last tech meeting was probably the best I've been to as far as tech meetings in the last 2 years. We have a needs assessment going on right now. We have a sense of what we want to do in the future. Construction is going to be absolutely huge. We've already had job meetings, and we're already opening up proposals for a number of the professionals and the services that we need. There'll be some action tonight about the bond sale. Professional development, Natalie was showing me some of the topics that are lined up. Dr. Lacatina was showing me some of the topics that are lined up for next year. Unbelievable. I don't know how we're going to fit them all in, but certainly we've identified some really ambitious but very, very important areas where our staff can use PD. School safety initiatives, we have a number that we've talked about. In the personnel domain, a major new software procedure that will really help take our personnel practices and move them forward from a tech point of view. Curriculum mapping, something that we built into this past schedule. Ambitious undertaking for the future. Houses at the middle school, just about ready to go. And that represents a lot of work by lots of people. Inclusion of special ed kids. It's the right thing to do, and something that's dear to my heart. Over 25 years ago, when New Jersey was looking for schools to pilot inclusion in the state of New Jersey, my school was one of the 10 that were selected. Great thing for kids, great things for teachers. We have new principals entering the district. Later, Lisa will update you on where we are with the forest search. Future Ready Schools, really excited about the meeting that I attended here and the feedback from the participants who went out to that. Our mental health initiative, which has been a real success, is now entrenched in the district and will be even stronger, I believe, next year. We'll be at some point adding a community relations professional to the staff. Sanford Harmony was reviewed at your last education committee meeting, and student-based report cards also with standards-based at the last committee. I mean, that's ambitious. So what I'm saying is most schools would never ever even attempt to take a look at so many initiatives at the same time. It's going to be a challenge, but I think it's a tribute to the board, the administrators, the teachers, this whole community. This is an ambitious school district that wants to move forward, that has never slowed down. It's on a path of continuous improvement, and I commend all of you for that. So good luck in addressing all those items. It's not going to happen in a short period of time, but you have a great future ahead, and once again, thank you for everything. That concludes my report. Thank you, everyone.
On behalf of the board, Ernie, I want to thank you for everything you've done. And that report just shows tremendous effort that you've made, as well as everyone else.
I made them all up just to see if Nick would faint. But he's still sitting there, so that's a good sign. Right? He
didn't run out screaming.
He didn't run out saying, what? What is this?
We don't have to
What
do
did you give
anything
me? What
next
did you
year.
give me?
We covered everything.
Thank you again.
Cindy, you want to say something?
Yeah, I did. I just wanted to thank you on behalf of myself. You came into this district as an interim, but you never treated us as a paycheck. What you've done for us in the past 2 years is priceless and will never be forgotten. And I admire you. I respect you, and I wish you the best of luck in your retirement. And I just wanted to thank you. You did a superb job, and I just don't. We were so fortunate to have interviewed with you and saw that you were the right person, and you came in and you dug your heels in and treated it like it was your full-time job, not as an interim position. And I think that is huge. And thank you.
Thank you so much.
Mike, you want to say something?
So, I was one of the people that didn't vote for you. No.
That's why you're sitting on that end of the table.
I'm kidding. In the 2 years that you came in, just as Cindy said, you know, there's interim superintendents that are placeholders, and there's interim superintendents that come in from the outside, look at the district as a whole, and say, ooh, I think we can move the district forward this way, and this way. And you definitely did not come in as a placeholder, that's for sure. And you have moved this district so far in the 2 years that you've been here, and this district is going to reap the benefits of your expertise and your experience for years and years to come. You've left the district in such good shape for Mr. Norcia, and I wish you the best of luck and have fun in Greece. And
Thank you.
at one point, you'll invite me to the island, and maybe you'll teach me how to eat baklava. And
Oh, that'll come naturally. You'll see. Can't resist it. Thank you.
Ron?
Cindy and Mike said a lot. Again, like I said, you know, a lot of times I talk to people, and I said that, you know, you could have came in, you've been in education a long time, and you could have sat there and driven the bus and just hung out. And I think from the first day, you were hit with the population problem, which was a big problem, and you attacked it with your idea of soft borders and get the referendum rolling. But everything the public came to you about at meetings and brought up to your attention, you addressed it as a professional, but also as a gentleman. and never wavered when people would take shots and stuff like that. And I just admired, you know, you took a look at every piece of this district. You didn't look at just one piece, you looked at every piece of it. And you said, you know, we gotta do stuff here, let's try to do something, let's tweak this, we're good here, but we can do better. And you just didn't settle for complacency, and in my opinion, you actually took this district to another level in the last 2 years, and for that, I'll always be grateful. And it's also been an honor to work with you for the last 2 years, because you are a true gentleman. And like Mike, I hope someday I get to go to Greece and see you there and stuff like that. But,
Board retreat.
I'll go to another
Board,
restaurant with you or something like
Sounds
that.
like a
but
good deal. Baklava for everyone.
I wish you nothing but the best in your retirement finally.
Thank you.
Enjoy your children and
Thank
your
you so much.
grandchildren. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of you for the last 2 years.
Thank you. Thank you for your kind words, everyone.
Thank you. Okay, action items. We gotta go to G first. Okay, G1 approval of minute, G2, no items. A motion for G1 and G2.
So moved. Second.
Comments, board members? Comments, members of the audience? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Usually do that, but it's just E, is it, right? E, attendance at conference, conventions, work. Oh, did I miss S?
S1,
Getting way
yeah,
ahead.
retirement.
Oh, retirements, yes, it's unusual, okay. S1, retirement resolutions. S2 and S3, no items. S4, approval of attendance at various Bergen County schools. S5, other business. Have a motion for S1 through S5.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Cindy, would you read A?
Sure. Resolution regarding the retirement of Mary Ellen Stefanko. Is that how you pronounce her name? I apologize. Whereas Mary Ellen Stefanko has dedicated herself to the Fair Lawn School District since 2008 as a paraprofessional at Edison, Milnes, and Radburn Elementary Schools, and most recently Memorial Middle School, displaying an unselfish commitment to our children, exemplifying the ideals of professionalism and the standard of excellence, has requested retirement at the end of the day on June 30th, 2018. And whereas the Fair Lawn School District Board of Education, together with its citizens, wishes to acknowledge exemplary service that Mary Ellen Stefanko has provided to our children. And now therefore be it resolved that the Fair Lawn School District Board of Education does hereby extend its appreciation and gratitude to Mary Ellen Stefanko in recognition of her exemplary service to our school district. And be it further resolved that the Fair Lawn Board of Education spread this resolution in full upon the minutes and dispatch a copy thereof to Mrs. Mary Ellen Stefanko.
Thank you, Cindy. Jeff, would you read B?
Sure. Is it Grochola? Grochola, okay. Resolution regarding the retirement of Casey Grochola. Whereas Casey Grochola has dedicated himself for the past 22 years to the Fair Lawn School District as a custodian at the H.B. Milnes School, displaying an unselfish commitment to our children, exemplifying the ideals of professionalism and the standard of excellence, has requested retirement at the end of the day on August 31st, 2018, and whereas the Fair Lawn School District Board of Education, together with its citizens, wishes to acknowledge exemplary service that Casey Grochola has provided to our children, and now therefore it be resolved that the Fair Lawn School District Board of Education does hereby extend its appreciation and gratitude to Casey Grochola in recognition of his exemplary service to our school district, and be it further resolved that the Fair Lawn Board of Education spread this resolution in full upon the minutes and dispatch a copy thereof to Mr. Casey Grochola.
Thank you. Ron, would you read C?
Sure. Resolution regarding the retirement of Valerie Cudworth. Whereas Valerie Cudworth has dedicated herself to the Fair Lawn School District as a purchasing secretary in the business office from 2002 to 2010, then becoming the secretary to the vice principal at Fair Lawn High School for the past 8 years, displaying an unselfish commitment to our children and exemplifying the ideals of professionalism and the standards of excellence, has requested retirement at the end of the day on December 31st, 2018. And whereas the Fair Lawn School District Board of Education, together with its citizens, wishes to acknowledge exemplary service that Valerie Cudworth has provided to our children. And now, therefore, be it resolved that the Fair Lawn School District Board of Education does hereby extend its appreciation and gratitude to Valerie Cudworth in recognition of her exemplary service to our school district. And be it further resolved that the Fairlawn Board of Education spread this resolution in full upon the minutes and dispatch a copy thereof to Mrs. Valerie Cudworth.
Thank you, Ron.
You're welcome.
Board members, comments, questions on this one? Mary?
So often when we think of education, we think the teachers and how important the teachers are. Here are three people who are really the behind the scenes, the support staff, the here we have the first person who is a paraprofessional working with our most disadvantaged children. We have our custodians who keep our schools running. Everybody knows it. All the teachers know how important the custodians are to anything at all that you want to happen in your school. It's go to your custodians. And then, of course, our central office, our secretaries working in the business office, and here eventually as the a secretary to the principal. And again, any teacher in a school knows that, again, if you want to get anything done, you go to the principal or vice principal secretary. And from there, things will happen for you. So these are three very important areas, and I really wish these people wonderful, happy retirement, and that's it.
Thank you, Mary. Jeff?
Sure. I have never met these individuals, but I just want to piggyback on what Mary said. My father was a principal for over 30 years, and when I went into teaching, the first thing he told me is the first thing you have to do is make sure that you are friendly and good to secretaries and the custodians. Like rule number one. And so for all the young teachers out there or people going into teaching, it is absolutely true. As for paraprofessionals, the unsung heroes of school buildings, they have difficult jobs, and it's nice to be able to, at least for one moment, to give them in their profession the credit that they so deserve. That's all I got.
Thank you, Jeff. Anyone else? On behalf of the Board of Education, I wish them all a very long, happy retirement, well-deserved, and I'm sure they're going to enjoy it. Members of the audience, any questions or comments on S1 through S5? Oh, Emily.
I wanted to say something about S5C regarding the Miracles Connect. I just want to let my board colleagues know that I'm going to abstain on that item because I wasn't here when that decision was made back in August.
Okay. Thank you so much. Okay. I didn't see any hands, did I? No. Okay.
Yes.
Roll call.
You
What?
have a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I should keep my glasses on. Come on up. Just state your name for the record, please.
Dawn Ebner, Fairlawn High School. I just wanted to speak on S1, first regarding Mary Ellen Stefanko. I don't know her personally, but to kind of concur with the people who have already spoken, the fact that paraprofessionals are an essential part of our district. And you can see here in the 10 years that she has been a member of the Fairlawn School District, she has been at 4 different schools showing the versatility of our paraprofessionals, and they will step into whatever role they are placed in for whatever assistance needed of our students. I just think that that's an outstanding thing that all of our paraprofessionals do, and this is just a reflection, so congratulations to Mary Ellen, and I wish her good luck. And then as far as Valerie Cudworth, secretary retiring at the high school, I know it states here that she's the secretary to the vice principals, but when you call Fairlawn High School, she is the one who the phone calls get directed to first. So when you call, Valerie is the one who usually is going to pick up the phone unless she's already busy and gets kicked over to somebody else. Even when we call the office from the high school, like if I call it from the gym or somebody calls from the classroom, it goes right to her. So she's really the first person to step up and try to assist people. So I'd like to congratulate Valerie and wish her the best of luck as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Mary.
Also, I think to thank the bank. Thank the bank. The Carney Bank Foundation scholarship.
No.
We don't want to let any contributions go unthanked.
No. I agree. Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Right. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes, except abstain on S5C.
Mrs. Frankel?
Yes.
Mr. Klein,
Yes, abstain on S5B.
Ms. Quackenbush,
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg,
Yes.
Mr. Spindell,
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace,
Yes.
Mr. Banta.
Yes. E1, attendance at conference, conventions, workshops. E2, approval of extracurriculars, no item. E3, no item. E3, approval of student, teachers, interns, practicums, field observation placement. E4, approval of bedside home instruction. E5, curriculum, textbook, and material options. E6, grants, entitlements. E7, membership dues. E8, summer programs, workshops, summer school. E9, other business. Do we have a motion for E1 through E9, please?
So moved.
Second.
I just want to remind board members to abstain on your own name for E1. Okay. Board members, Jeff? Yes.
Question for the administration. If I'm not mistaken, the rules again are going to change for teacher evaluations in terms of, or what is counted towards their evaluation for English and math teachers, where testing goes towards their evaluation, test scores go to their evaluation. Is that happening?
I'm not aware of a change. There's changes to graduation requirements in the areas of math and English, but I'm not aware of evaluation changes
Right.
of math.
I thought,
I can speak, I don't know if it actually extends to Teach NJ for evaluating teachers, but as the assistant said, assistant superintendent said, I think it only goes to part testing for graduation. You're no longer allowed to substitute other tests for the class of 2021.
okay, the reason I ask is, if teachers are going to have some part of their evaluation done, and they have student teachers, I worry that that could affect them and their standing. So when I vote to approve student teachers, I just want to be clear that there's a notice given to that teachers can be affected, and their standing, I don't want them to be affected even through their SGOs when they have someone else teaching their classes.
Sure, and again, it's all voluntary. So
Okay.
if a teacher does not want to take on a student teacher, that's absolutely fine. Yeah.
But it's a very professional thing to do to have a student teacher, so.
It is, and they do,
And a
I
risk.
think nowadays there's a lot more collaborative teaching and co-teaching that goes on,
It's not like when I student
As
taught when the lady
opposed to-
left the room.
as opposed to the past. Yes.
I walked in, the cooperative teacher walked in, okay.
And just,
Bye.
and as myself, but I think Lisa maybe a bit of a pessimist. Our policy says that they are not to be left
They are
alone
not,
either.
yes.
They have to be with their cooperating
They
teacher at all
have to be.
times. And we made sure we took a look at our policy this year to include not only teachers, but child study team members, speech therapists, and everybody in the building that does take on a student teacher.
Okay, so then those teachers who are taking on students, thank you.
It's a lot of work.
It
As you know,
is, and-
as you know.
and a lot of
We appreciate
responsibility.
their help. Yeah, we appreciate their help.
It's not what it used to be.
And also, I'll get information as to whether the part testing actually affects teachers'
I
evaluation.
appreciate that, thank you.
Jeff, yeah?
Yeah, that's it.
Emily, then Mary.
Regarding E9A, the approval of a health physical education consultant for next year, I understand that this person has been working with the district for several years, this isn't the first year they're gonna be working with us, and I understand their role. I wanted to use this as an opportunity to ask administration if there's been any follow-up discussion about other ways to have high school students, especially athletes, get credit for physical education and health besides having their AM gym. I just remember the students who came to advocate for themselves about the hardship that creates. If there's been any progress in looking into that, and if this consultant can help us figure that out, if there are pieces that the administration could use support with.
I did request that Paul Green conduct research. His firm conducted research about the basic question.
It's actually
So-
me. Yeah,
Well, you
so
have the floor.
I can
so there you
speak to
go.
it. So yes, there are alternates. We would have to go through what's called an Option 2 program. What the Option 2 program essentially is, it allows, say, all the members of the football team to meet their physical education requirements as long as certain things are met. First and foremost, you have to essentially document everything. The law requires, for instance, you have to at least get, forgive me, I don't remember the number off the top of my head, but I believe it's about 4 hours per week of physical education in order to meet this. So there's also other requirements. The coach would have to be certified as a physical education teacher. You can't just have someone who, say, and also let me just go back one step prior. You can also have anything actually be the physical education as long as it meets these requirements. So say if someone's taking Taekwondo for 4 hours a week and that person is somehow certified to their teacher, they could also reach that as well. Just to sum up, because I could go on probably for a half hour here, we just have to start this option 2 program. We can make a system where we'll have a resolution where the board will vote on certain things such as, say football, soccer, baseball, etc. for the school. We'll just have approval for this as long as they document it and as long as the coach documents it as well. And then if there's outside activities such as the Taekwondo, Jiu-Jitsu sort of thing, not necessarily sponsored by the school, they also can, but they would have to go through a more rigorous process since we wouldn't be familiar with the program.
And is it correct that obviously whatever is going on in soccer or football has to meet every New Jersey standard?
Yes.
Phys ed as well?
Yes, absolutely.
So if it doesn't meet all of them, that would not qualify as option 2, is that correct?
Yes, correct.
That was my question, is like, because you could take a sport, might not meet everything, what they're exactly doing, whether it's soccer, football, basketball, whatever. So how do you do that? You know what I'm trying to say? It's like they only do certain stretches, they only do certain practice techniques. I know from being a coach myself. So that's a little difficult. It's gonna get a little hairy with all the documentation and everything.
It certainly is. Like I said, what we can have is either have a committee look into what sports would qualify for it, which they would feel maybe excess would need to be done. You can also find a way in certain circumstances where they can meet maybe like 3 hours, but they're still required to take gym 1 semester, something along those lines, because of course this might not apply year round. You might have a student who only does a fall sport but then has to do something during the winter and spring. So there's a lot of things that have to go into this, but like I said, the law is very clear. It's a very comprehensive plan that we have to go through, and the board would have to come together and just to figure out all the nuts and bolts of it.
Thank you.
And they still have to take the health semester?
Yes, absolutely. You cannot get around the health requirement through any alternate programs.
Nick and Annalise.
I was just to say, so to answer your question, we're still talking about it. It's not dead in the water, and it's still something that we're discussing. We've had conversations and we still are discussing it and deciding what direction we're going to go with it if we go in a certain direction. Still a lot of homework to be done.
Wait, did you have something else, Elise?
No, it's okay.
Okay, Emily.
So there was a question with the health education, whether that might be offered online for students who are having scheduling issues. Is there any legality around?
I'd have to look into it. I'm not sure. That wasn't part of the analysis that Paul had asked me to do. I would, again, I don't want to take any guesses, but generally online courses aren't permitted in these instances, just for certain, like sexual education, I believe. I think it has to generally be done taught in class unless a parent opts out of it. That's usually the only way to get around that. But online courses, there wasn't too much information within the option 2 about whether that would count as an alternate program.
So can I ask if the board colleagues are interested in getting more information from the administration, if we could consider this as a topic for an education committee meeting in the fall to early winter, so that if we're going to make any changes or refer any changes, it could benefit students a year from this fall potentially? So we could, is that something other board colleagues are interested in?
I'd like to hear about it. I'd also like to hear about how it benefits us to do that. Like how it not only does it benefit students, does it benefit us in terms of lowering our class size and those kinds of things. And what kind of things that, even though if they hit the requirements, are they still going to be learning and be participating in things that would give them a better rounded physical education, as opposed to just being a football player or a soccer player.
By doing option 2 or
right, by doing option 2, what else are they missing out on? Because it's my understanding it's more than just physical education. It's more than just exercise.
Yes.
Yeah. Mary.
So, I partly agree with Emily, and partly there's one point that I don't agree with, and that is, I certainly want to know more, and I certainly want to hear more, but I don't want to put a timeline on the administration. I want the administration to be able to bring it forward to us at that time in which they feel they have sufficiently explored it and are going to come forward to us and say not viable, or come forward and say this is what we'd like to do. I don't like putting timelines on our administration. Other than that, I'd certainly want to hear more.
Nick?
When you have more to hear.
Thank you. thank you to everyone for everything that you contributed so far. What I'd like to say is because we've all been in our education committee meetings, and sometimes two topics can take very long for us to cover just because of the presentations that go along with it. One of the topics that is going to be coming up at one of our first education committee meetings is how we as a district address dyslexia and what we're doing as a screening process and moving the districts forward to identify students and remedy that. So I know once the school year starts, that I think I'm gonna maintain a list of all the topics that could potentially be education topics, speaking with Mike's education chair, administration, and then we're gonna have to prioritize and into what time frame certain things may need to be presented and some things may not, but I'll definitely add that to the list. Right.
Cindy and then Elise.
I don't have a problem with putting it forward to learn about it. I will agree with Mary that I don't like to put a timeline on the administration, but I also would like to hear from our physical education teachers as to what they feel about doing this. I mean, they are the actual instructors of phys ed. And I would like to hear all about that from the physical education point of it, and maybe a couple of coaches. Did you say something about the coaches would have to be the ones that teach?
So yes, it would happen is like for the certificate endorsements for teachers, they would have to have the physical education endorsement in order to qualify.
Because there's a lot of ramifications that I need to wrap my head about, and one of the most important things for me to make a decision would be my physical education department.
Elise.
I just wanted to say, because if they have to be teachers, it would impact on who you're hiring as coaches, and it also impacts the schedule. Because, you know, just for example, if football players have AM gym and they're doing, you know, practice and they wouldn't have to come in the morning for, you know, like that first period gym. So I think there's a lot of facets that need to be looked at in order to bring this forward. I think that's what we realized last time, that it was a lot more convoluted than we thought. And I think it's a very different question than the morning gym replacing the labs, which is something that we were also supposed to be looking into, but I think it's too, I don't want to lose sight of that, where it's necessary or not necessary to have those AM gyms where the kids are coming in for the morning gyms, because I know I do the math every time with the 225 minutes, and you know, I don't know why they're coming in for their early morning gyms to replace the gym time with the lab time, because they can be made up in a 2-week period and they wouldn't have to be doing it the whole year. So there's, I think, two different questions on the table, and I don't want to lose sight of changing the early morning gym thing in light of, you know, changing if you're doing a sport or involved in a sport, that you wouldn't have to take realistically a gym for a semester, and you can come to school later or something like that.
Mike.
So, I think you just added a third choice there, actually. A third issue with it. I just wanted to say I'm going to come by it a little bit different, because I do think time, there has to be a time period of given, although it could be far out. Part of the problem we have is right now, Ernie made a huge list of stuff that we're involved in right now. So I appreciate that Nick and Natalie want to prioritize things, and definitely I think that's going to be necessary next year, because I could think of probably 20 things that could go on a education committee meeting. So I would prepare for more than the ones we have scheduled too. So
do a wife feed the baby.
When we do fight in Central Office, no, I'm gonna get that on education committee. No, I'll put my topic on.
I think you should just work on it while you're feeding the baby at night. At 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah.
He does.
All right, so you guys are going to continue to look into it. Get back to us in October, November. Let us know where you are. Obviously, we're not looking for a solution by that time, but you know, just keep us in the loop as to where you think you are, and you know, as the progress goes. And if we can do it, great. If we can't, like this next couple of years is going to be a lot of heavy stuff going on. So, you know, and I'm not saying we're blowing it off. We're just we're prioritizing things. Mary.
Just on E6A, the grant funds, How do we get those grant funds?
So those are entitlement grants, so that is money that we receive from the federal government that we are entitled to based on our enrollment of immigrant students, numbers of English
And who
language
does that
learners.
work to get that money?
I do the grants.
So that was
Along
all I
with-
wanted to know. I
okay.
wanted to know who to thank.
You're welcome.
Because we don't get a grant without somebody doing a lot of work. Thank you,
Okay, you're
Dr.
Dr.
Lacattina.
Lacattina.
You're welcome, and there's lots of help from all over.
And company.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, that was
Yes.
all.
Thank you. Board members, anything else on these items? Members of the audience? David, just step up, state your name, and then go on.
David Trutner, 310 Allison Street. The E5A, I think it's great, a communication with me and the literacy class. Any more information on that, you could share?
I don't know if I have the description with me at the moment, but we're going to be working on that curriculum. Again,
Is it like a shooting class?
it's an elective class, I believe, so again, it's going to be things that are students that broadcast journalism, things like that, we're kind of expanding that type of a class into the 21st century. So, looking at more of the digital media versus newspapers.
Oh, great. That's awesome.
So, yeah, we're very excited about it, and great teacher that skills in that area, so.
Cool.
Pretty amazing.
Thank you, David. Dawn?
Yeah, I just want to
State your name for the tape. please.
Dawn Ebner,
We know.
Fairlawn High School. I just wanted to thank Cindy for mentioning the fact that when we discuss and we're looking into possibility of changes that we look to involve physical education, health education teachers, as well as long as it goes through approval, involving Barbara DeCaro, because she knows a lot about curriculum and she really helps us out a lot. And she would definitely be able to look into some of the key points that, I don't know the gentleman's name over there.
Matt.
Matt.
Little
Hi, Matt.
Hello. Paul Jr.
That Matt brought up whether or not those things would meet the standards and the core course standards, core content standards of physical education. So, Cindy, thank you for bringing that in.
Thank you, Dawn.
You're welcome, Dawn.
Anyone else, members of the audience? May I have a roll call, please?
Dr. Cohen?
Yes, except abstain for myself.
Yes, on E1.
No longer.
Mrs. Franco?
Yes, except abstain for myself.
Mr. Klein?
Yes, I abstain on my name. I also, in a possible conflict of interest, I have to abstain for E9C.
Okay, Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes on everything, abstain on myself on E1.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes, on myself, abstain, yes, except abstain on myself on E1.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes for everything, abstain on my name for E1.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes, abstain on me.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes, abstain on my name on E1.
Mr. Banta?
Yes, abstain on my name on E1. All right, P1, approval of appointments. P2, approval of resignations, retirements. P3, approval of leave of absence. P4, change of personnel assignment status. P5, additional remuneration. P6, other business. P7, promotion of personnel. We're gonna have items, motion for P1 through P7, please.
So moved. Second.
Board members, questions, comments? Emily?
I think, is the summer employment on here? I've been looking at the old version of the agenda. I wanted to make sure. Yes, so this is, C under P1. Yeah,
Give us a
it's
page.
page 27.
That's so
Thank you.
easier.
Yeah, that's so.
Page 27. So, it's great that we're hiring high school students to help with the technology department over the summer, and I know I've talked to administrator about this, but I just want to bring it up to my board colleagues that I'm sure these 4 students are highly qualified and really glad they're doing it, but I just like to note it's 100% boys in the technology department, and I just want to emphasize the importance of creating a pipeline so that there's more girls who are applying and expressing interest and qualified to we take advantage of that opportunity as well. And I know the administration's committed to that as well and aware of this, but I just wanted to say it publicly and to the board colleagues that that's a value that I think many of us would hold dear for the future.
Thank you, Emily. Any other board members? Ron?
How are they get picked? How do they get picked? How are they notified that the jobs are open, and how do
They
they?
are posted internally at the schools.
At the high
and then
school.
they apply, and they're.
So anybody can apply?
Anybody can apply.
And then how are they chosen? Are they chosen by what they write down, like the criteria? What is the
They're
criteria?
chosen like any other position, they're interviewed and considered just like any other position.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
I just want to piggyback on what he said. Can I ask you how many of these individuals had that position last year?
I believe it was 4 last year also.
No, are they the same 4 that had it last year?
No,
they're
one,
not.
I actually think one was a woman, young woman last year.
Anyone else? Members of the audience? Dawn?
Dawn Abner, Fairlawn High School, regarding P5E.
Page
Page 32.
Okay.
Approval of spring sports, I'm just wondering why it is being approved at this time.
I was actually gonna vote no too. I figured,
I just didn't know.
he didn't do enough this year, so I figured vote no.
Or, I don't know, is he getting an extra stipend or?
No.
is it-
No, he was inadvertently left off the list of
sorry.
our coaches, so
Okay,
we would
thank
like to pay him.
I'm sure I'd like to be paid too.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Any other members of the audience?
They won the title, right?
They won the sectional, yeah, they lost in the
Yeah,
tournament champions.
yeah. Good
So
thing
let's
too,
not
otherwise
pay.
it would be getting.
Listen, he's loaded. He's got sophomores and freshmen. He's loaded.
That should be recognized here.
Absolutely, I would plan on it, trust me.
Okay, roll call, please.
Mrs. Franco?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes, no P5E.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes on everything, abstain on P5E.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. SC1, approval of tuition transportation. SC2, approval of bedside home instruction for 17-18 classified students. SC3, approval of required related services for classified students, 17-18. SC4 and SC5, no items. A motion for SC1 through SC5.
Second.
Board members, questions, comments? Seeing none. Members of the audience, SC1 through SC5, questions or comments? Seeing none. Roll call, please.
Mr. Barbarulo?
Yes.
Mrs. Franco?
Yes.
Mr. Klein?
Yes.
Dr. Cohen?
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg?
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush?
Yes.
Mr. Spindell?
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace?
Yes.
Mr. Banta?
Yes. F1, approval of acceptance of gifts, grant funds. F2, approval of discards. F3, approval of bills payable payroll. F4, approval of bills payable. F5, approval of board secretary report. F6, approval of board treasurer report. F7, approval of transfers. F8, no items. F9, approval of contracts, consortiums, cooperatives. F10, no items. F11, other business. We have a motion for F1 through F11.
So moved.
Second.
Board members, questions or comments? Emily?
F11B with the capital reserve deposit, just while we have legal and Matt here with us. I just wanted to ask if the long-range facility plan for the district, is that open to the public if the public member were to request that?
I'd have to check on that. Like, generally, you just have concerns if it had any, like things that were, about security or something along those lines, but, I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay, that'd be good to check. And is that the kind of thing where if there was something about security, that part could just be blotted out?
Redacted, yeah, that's normally what we do. But yeah, I can get you an answer to that by tomorrow.
Okay, just curious, thank you.
Mary?
Yes, the F1A. Thank you to Deborah Kempen for doing the work and getting the grant from the Bergen County Utility Authority.
Thank you, Mary. Anyone else? Board member? Members of the audience, F1 through F11? David, and then Dawn?
Just a question on the bonds there, what, F11A? What happens next? How does it work after you approve that?
So this gives us the authority to actually sell the bonds, which we'll be doing in September. So we'll start the process now of getting our bond rating, putting together our portfolio, and it will be, the bonds will be sold in September.
And then the bids would start after the bonds, what's the?
When we put the bonds up for sale, all the companies will bid on them at the
No, I mean
time.
on the job, the actual construction job.
Oh, this is for the selling of the actual municipal bonds to secure the money from the referendum.
Is that related to the timeline of the construction? Was that construction already started
No,
to
this is
ready?
separate from that.
Okay.
Yeah, this is giving us the actual funds.
Yeah, I guess I was wondering if you had to secure the money first before you're able to bring it forward.
No.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
And, Dawn, you might agree on that.
Daughter of Fairlawn High School, regarding F9, it's page 42, E and F. I'm just asking with D and F what the amendments are to those agreements. They said that the agreements are going to be amended, and I'm wondering what the amendments are for those.
This is just extending the contract, so we can do a renewal basically on the contracts.
But the contract is going to remain the same, there's not going to be
Yes,
any
if
changes to
nothing's
the
changing,
contract?
yep, this is just a bookkeeping type item.
Okay. All right, because the E doesn't say anything about an amendment to them, it's a continued contract, whereas D and F say.
Yeah, it's based on the cost of the contract
Okay.
and how the initial contract was bid, but it's the same exact benefits, same providers,
Okay, no changes.
no changes at all.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Any other members of the audience on these items? Seeing none? Roll call, please. That's right, you finished writing.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Klein.
Yes.
Mr. Spindell.
Yes.
Mr. Rosenberg.
Yes.
Ms. Quackenbush.
Yes.
Dr. Cohen.
Yes.
Mrs. Franco.
Yes.
Mrs. Wallace. Mr. Barbarulo.
Yes.
Mr. Banta.
Yes. We have one other item, it's an addendum, but we have to go into closed session first, and it's HIB. So at this time, we're going to open up the floor to members of the public. They can speak on any item they like. They could just step up to the podium and state your name for the record, please.
Hi, my name is Valerie Gonzalez Carter. Can I give you my address?
No.
I'm just gonna read what I wrote.
You live in Fairlawn, right?
I do.
Okay, that's all that matters.
I'm just gonna read it quickly.
Sure.
Good evening, board members, Dr. Justice, Superintendent Garcia. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. I wanted to read 2 points briefly. Firstly, I would like to thank you for thank Mr. Marcella and the board for incorporating the Fairlawn High School Music Awards ceremony into the district end of year. We found it was a beautiful and memorable event, and that was a concern that I brought last time to the table. Secondly, I would like to express a deep gratitude to the Fairlawn School District for the amazing care and diligence in creating a learning environment that was appropriate for my son throughout his 10 years of school here in Fairlawn. My son who's graduating this year is truly a testament to the tender love and care and diligence of the teachers, paraprofessionals, social workers, counselors, coaches, and music directors in the Fairlawn District. And if ever there was an expression, it takes a village. We're pertinent that it surely applies to my son's case. I will always be grateful for the culture of understanding and patience in the school district that allowed for the numerous modifications, creative choices, and unorthodox solutions in order to meet the mandates of my son's IEP. And I appreciate that the district understands and accommodates the profound variations that manifest for our children. Thirdly, I just wanted to thank the wonderful music teachers. I just want to stress the gratitude that I have for the wonderful music teachers. As you know, my son is going into music, Isaac Kerr, and I have to say that he has really not had any other influence except for the children, the school teachers in this district, including Alexander Knox, who's a teacher from the district, but he's not in the district. So it's just incredible what the teachers have chosen to teach here. And that brings me to my last point, which is actually a question. After
involved in the music programs in the district and being grateful for all the teachers and programs that have provided to my children. I wanted to give back in some measure, and as a professional musician, my husband's a professional musician, and having had interactions for many years with other music parents, professional musicians in the district and students, there are some insights I would love to share with Superintendent Garcia. If I could request a meeting in the foreseeable future, some of these observations I believe may be helpful, especially in this critical time of change in the music programs. So that's the question, would I be able to have a private audience with this Garcia?
You can just shoot me an email and you can send it out. Okay? And thank you for the kind words. Very appreciative.
From the bottom of my heart.
Thank you. Any other members of the audience? State your name for the record, please.
First Amendment Downs, 1407 Rockford Road. I just wanted to extend an invitation to the board and everyone. As you know, I'm with Mom's Demand Action, and with the conversation at the town level and at the school Board of Education level regarding gun safety in schools and gun safety in general, we'll actually be doing comprehensive presentation at Glenrock Borough Hall on Monday at 7 p.m. Dr. Cohen attended one of our BSNOR presentations, but this will also include a presentation by Sandy Hook Promise, which I brought to the board's attention before. And also we'll have a survivor whose son lost his life to suicide. So we also talk about the risks of suicide, which, you know, as you discussed and as Dr. Gillespie said at the Tuesday meeting, we're increasing wellness and mental health programs throughout the school district, and that's incredibly important in creating a safe environment for our community. So I wanted to invite you all, Glenn, Block, Hall, 7 p.m. on Monday. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Joan, state your name for the tape, please.
So, yeah, I just wanted to thank Dr. Plestis too. When I was on the board, I really thought that he stepped up. He was a great educator, and he did everything that was wonderful for the town. He could just really just sat there and done nothing, but he really put his heart into it, and I want to congratulate him for what he did for us. He did a great deal of good for the town of Fairfield and the schools of Fairfield. And not only the schools, but bringing the community in and involving them into everything that we did. And that was very important. I think that was a very important thing that we did. And I wish you good luck on your retirement. I hope you enjoy it as much as I do.
We'll have to get together.
Yes, I can go to Greece.
In Greece?
Happy Greece.
I can leave at any time.
No, I only have this little tiny house.
It's got the Marcella family first.
Marcella's already have it, you know, they have it for the
That's
next
about
20
20
years,
people.
but absolutely. Thank you so much, Joan.
Thank you. Good luck to you.
Thank you.
I know you'll do a great job.
Thank you very much.
Any other members of the audience? Dawn.
Dawn Edgar, Fairlawn High School. Just to follow up on what Joan said, I'd like to thank Dr. Plessis also for everything that he did during his couple of years that we had him here. And I've been very happy with the relationship that we had, working together on behalf of the association and everything that we were able to successfully accomplish. I think it was, you know, a great opportunity for us to work hand in hand and, you know, resolve a lot of things. I believe, hopefully you feel the same way, in a positive manner. Not that we agree on everything, but I think we work very well together, and I appreciate everything that you did for the association and for all our teachers and the entire district as well. So thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dawn. Anyone else? Okay, board members, questions, comments, committee reports. Mary, then Ron.
Two things. So I attended the DEAC meeting this week, and for the sake of the public, this is the strong evaluation process that the district uses to evaluate staff. And the meeting basically consisted of going over everything with a fine-tooth comb, taking a look at what had worked well, what might need to be tweaked a little bit for the future. It was a very productive meeting, with a meeting that'll be coming along again in the early fall. And one of the very important points I think that I took out of it was that each year our administrators go through an intensive training so that they continue to correctly conduct the evaluations of our staff. And so they're retrained every year to make sure everybody is on the same page. So that was a very interesting and productive meeting, and large group of people are part of the DEAC committee. The second thing that I wanted to remind the board is that you now really have to mark your calendars for September 29th for the board retreat. The last time we had it set tentatively, but you know, we're gonna firm that up September 29th, and a reminder that we must have 7 people in attendance in order to get our continuing education credits. So if you don't think you can make it, you better let me know now, because
I don't know what I
you
can
know.
do in September.
Well, you know what, you put it down on your calendar
Doesn't
and you
matter.
don't make it.
All right, we got it.
Okay, so please, because right now Matt has set that, and that is gonna be about our board committees.
Mary, I definitely cannot make it now. I have my 20th high school rating.
Okay, one person.
Yeah, 30 next weekend. Got it.
So one person came.
All right, so
we'll
you're all
see.
old, we got it.
We might have to.
Okay. Well, listen, we got the whole summer
If
to
we
figure
have-
it out.
Yeah, if we have to change it, we will
We got
do
the whole
that.
summer to figure it
That's
out.
right.
That was it, those are your 2 things?
That's my 2 things.
Ron?
Well, I know it was probably said, unfortunately, I couldn't make the sports awards the other night, but to what David said, I want to congratulate once again our volleyball team, who won another county championship, won another sectional championship, and in Peter's famous words, it's another rebuilding year, but actually this year, he only had 2 seniors, and I tell you what, this could be one of the best jobs he ever did, but he did say that the team came together after one particular loss. They just came together as a team and said, you know what, we just don't want to do this anymore. So the future's bright, because they have about 8 sophomores and 2 freshmen that are studs. But all our spring sports did very well this year, so I just wanted to do that, and just wanted to bring that to everybody's attention, because it's really nice to see. And also too, like Mr. Gerisi said tonight, congratulations to our musical. They did win a couple nice awards, so that was nice to see also. So everything's going in the right direction.
Mark?
Yes, at our last board meeting, Dawn brought up the subject about absences for staff not being covered. And it was sent out to the Board of Ed, but I don't believe you got a copy of it. So I'm going to make a request that in the next and forthcoming agendas, that information be provided to the public so that they can see it as well, number one. But I just wanted to say that there was over 2,000 absences for the month of May. And that includes all teachers, paras, and I believe lunch aides as well. So I just wanted to let all the union presidents know that it's incumbent upon them also to speak to their staff about having attendance looked at, and about improving attendance on their end, as well as us trying to improve upon the number of substitutes that we're able to get for that particular month. Because 2,000 absences in 20 days is a lot of absences, to me at least. So, I thank you.
Can I get on the list, please? Cindy and Jeff.
I attended the scholarship award ceremony the other night, and I just want to give my congratulations out to the senior class. It was just under $5 million worth of scholarships that were given out by our generous community, as well as to the universities that and schools that our seniors are going to be attending. It was a very nice night. It's always a great night. I just love seeing, as they're reading the scholarships that are given out by the universities, and all of the people standing up. It's just incredible, and under $5 million. And I just want to thank the community again for being so generous. I mean, we get scholarships in our town from places that aren't even Fair Lawn based, and I think that that's totally incredible. So it was a very nice evening. I really enjoyed myself. I was also at Mr. Marcella's retirement dinner last night, I just wanted to say it was a really wonderful evening. His family is...
It was okay till he got up and spoke. Oh, man.
You mean the 45-minute speech?
His family is amazing, and all throughout the entire night, everybody just kept on saying the same thing. But I would like to just bring out one point. Dr. Palestis, besides going back and forth about Greek and Italian, the one thing that struck me so vividly was in all of Dr. Palestis's career, which spans many, many years, he attributed to Jim Marcella as one of the best principals that he's ever had, the best principals that he's ever had the privilege to work with. And I think that that just sums up Mr. Marcella's career in our district. And I just want to wish you a lot of luck and happiness, and your children are beautiful, your grandchildren are amazing. His 4-year-old grandson stood up in front of the grand ballroom in the Brownstone and sang "God Bless America" without blinking an eye. That's the first time I started crying, and all the way through the night I was crying like for everything. But it was amazing. It was a wonderful retirement dinner, and very well deserved. You deserved every single accolade that was given to you. You are an amazing man, and we will miss you. I also wanted to say we had student dialogue meeting tonight. I'm not going to go over what was discussed because I have the committee minutes. I will send them in so that the board receives a report.
Jeff, Emily, Mark, Ron.
First, Jim, I apologize for missing your dinner last night. I had an engagement. Please don't let that be any symbol of how I feel, and my thanks to you. And I would say to you, Will, the same thing, kind of message for Dr. Palestis is, I suppose the greatest honor is to know that you've left a legacy behind you, and we sort of, in a way, always live through that, and that we never really leave when a legacy is put in place. And I believe that you, in your longer term here and in your shorter term here, both have done that for us and have laid down a foundation that our incoming people can grow on. So thank you for that. The business, I know, Gina, I'd mentioned this to you briefly. We need to know for the next shared services meeting how the board feels, if they want the committee to give an okay to continue to discuss the sale of that piece of land. I need to know for sure that I can say to them, look into it and see if that's something that we want to continue looking into. The sale of land, of course, the one at the high school that used to be a parking lot during the construction. So I need some direction on that, whether or not that conversation is going to continue or not, for sure.
So everybody knows the plot we're talking about, right?
Actually, Gene, can we, as coming in as a new superintendent, can we discuss this? Because I am not well versed in that law.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel with us moving forward and saying that we're going to move forward with that conversation without me being as knowledgeable as possible. We just have
maybe Gene and I can find a time to sit down with you then.
That'd be great.
Okay. And then again, but the meeting is July 31st. I know that we have one more meeting, but it's a briefer meeting. But it just I just need direction, and I don't want to move forward and have any more conversations until I understand what the board is thinking and what our wishes are. Okay.
And sorry to butt in also, and if there's any assistance that's needed with the legal side of it, just the process, you have to go through the Department of Education and approval and that stuff, please reach out to Paul or I, and we can assist with that as well.
Thank you. And the other thing is, I know that there was, since the last tech update, I know there was one thing that happened, I believe. Since then, they came in and did their audit, am I correct?
They're working on the audit.
They're doing it now?
The first part of the audit was they surveyed our staff
right?
First,
right.
And now they're actually meeting with our staff and conducting the audit And as of right now, we've had great responses of how many people are responding to the survey, which is really good.
Right, so as Dr. Plessis mentioned, we do have that going forward very, very nicely. So I guess that's just one of those challenges that's out there for the beginning, but of course challenges are opportunities.
Since he took care of everything else, just do a
Good
job.
job. Okay, that's all I have, thank you.
Jeff, that meeting is confirmed, July 31st?
Yes.
I know we were going back and forth.
As far as I know, they haven't said anything, and we haven't said anything to say we're not meeting, so I'm going under the assumption that we are.
All right, I might not be there because I might be on vacation. I
Okay.
don't know right now.
We expect postcards.
There you go, we're going for
Emily, Mike, and I'm not sure if Mark or Ron is after that.
Mark.
Okay, Emily,
So I
Mike.
have 2 items from shared services and then 3 items just general board consideration. So, and I apologize for my responsibility, if any, about there not being shared services committee minutes shared with the board. I feel like because we don't officially have a chair of the board as part of that committee, maybe it's something.
Yeah, you do.
I am.
Just
Oh, so you should be apologizing. I apologize for not telling you.
I shared last meeting. I did share last meeting.
For July 31st, we should do that. Okay, so you're getting it kind of piecemeal, but we'll strive to do better, right, Jeff? So, anyway, sorry. Okay.
I'll check my calendar.
Great.
I'm on the committee.
Yeah, among the 3 of us, and Elise too. We'll try to work on that. So one item of discussion from shared services that came up was the Safe Routes to School program, which is a national initiative that has a New Jersey arm to it. And it's a statewide program to encourage school districts to encourage their students and the guardians of students taking students to school to walk more, to bike more, to be safer as they walk and bike, and to, in general, lead healthy lifestyle choices, build that into their daily routines. There's a framework that Safe Routes to School has where districts become certified at different levels, as well as the borough becomes certified at different levels. So it's something that, so this is why we talked about shared services, because the framework explicitly structures very strategic collaboration. And I know we already collaborate with the borough on these issues, but it allows us to build from those partnerships and do even more. So for example, the bronze level has 3 requirements. The silver level builds from that and has some additional requirements. The way the timeline for the program works is every January 31st, districts can submit their materials to become recognized at the level where they're at. And the borough could be at like a silver level. We might be coming in at bronze. We don't have to be in step with each other. So we talked about it at shared services. There were questions about it at shared services, but a general willingness to continue to explore. So as a follow-up step in preparation for this commentary now, we had a meeting with the Safe Routes to School regional coordinator. So there's someone who oversees the program for Bergen County, which we fall under. And thank you, Nick, for being on that call. Gail from council was on that call, along with Officer Macy's, who's the pedestrian traffic officer of the borough. And we got more information, I think some good clarity, and I just wanted, there's no action necessary from the board at this point. If we move forward, it would eventually be like a resolution that we pass for the district. And I trust Nick and the administration to, take a deep dive into what steps we need to do next and anything I can do to help support that. But I just wanted to share that with the board and encourage you all if you have questions. I mean, I don't think we, unless there's anyone who has serious hesitation or red flags, not to continue to move forward with it.
I think, and thank you for setting it up and bringing it back to us. Something I am very familiar with prior to arriving here in Fairlawn, but it was nice to hear all of us collaborate and ask questions. Certain things the town would do may be different than what we may do, but a lot of things we could collaborate together on. And it was just simple things like Emily was saying, seeing if we had a bike rack in front of every one of our schools, surveying our students. How many students walk to school? how many students walk to school every day. Every day you survey them and see, so you have a good sense of the data of if they are or not. The other thing it does is it allows to, which we all know, traffic in front of schools can be an issue in Fair Lawn at times. The more we promote safe routes to school and students riding their bikes or walking, it'll alleviate some of the traffic concerns as well. Talking to the crossing guards, is there a lot of congestion? Is it freeing up congestion? Are there clear walking paths? So it's just little things that we could do a better job. Not that we're not doing a great job already, but just to ask ourselves those questions as a district as we look at each of our schools. So it's something that we said we would revisit again in the fall and take a look at if we wanted to take the pledge and look to go for the bronze medal, but bronze medal award, whatever. But we something that we think that was worth us looking at again after the summer. Thank you.
Jeff wants to talk on that issue, and
I just
it's
want
his committee.
One point that was brought up through an email, at least, when we were kind of throwing some things around, was an article that was sent, and it's actually connected to this and to mental health at the same time. They did these studies that basically said when you allow your child more responsibility to do things like walk to school and things of that nature, and become less, I'm going to use a coin of phrase, and I hope it's not a nice phrase, but more of a helicopter parent, and you enable your kid to do more things, like, again, walking to school, riding bicycle to school, skateboard, whatever. It actually helps with their mental health, because it lets them feel less stressed over themselves. So there actually is a direct connection, according to these studies in the report. Did I forward that to you? I don't know who I forwarded that to. I know that I know that you read it.
I didn't get it.
I thought I'd forwarded it to everyone, because I know that I had.
Put it in with the minutes.
I didn't get it either.
But I definitely.
I get more information on this. I get more information on this whole thing.
Yeah, well, all right, that's fine. Actually, I thought I'd sent it. Maybe I thought at the central office I said, please send to everyone.
Yeah, I don't remember seeing it, so just send it out. But
I'll resend it. But
Ron's got a point, is that
I'm in favor of it, but I want more information about it. I mean, like 4 people talked about it. Can we get some 3?
So there's tons of information on the website, and I'm happy to write a summary overview and just circulate it among the board. And if anybody has specific questions that are front in their mind about reasons why they would be concerned about it or anything, I'm happy to address those questions or refer to Nick or anybody else who wants to.
okay. So
Listen, do you want to say?
no, wait. So
Okay,
safe
so
schools.
that's-
You have something. I mean, safe routes to school. You said
Okay,
you
so
had
next thing
something
from
else.
shared services was there was a discussion about a task force that's developed out of Tenify. There's a magazine in the NJSBA magazine about Tenify starting a task force on school security that brings together various stakeholder groups, including members of the community, to talk about various aspects of improving school safety. And shared services discussed this, again, as an issue that affects both the borough and the board. And there was some interest in exploring creating such a task force for Fair Lawn. That's about as far as we got with that discussion. I'll just say my own follow-up thought on this, and we can discuss this further at the July 31st shared services, but I wanted to bring it to the attention of the other board members as well, is that I know that there was some discussion around doing a community forum about school safety, whether it be some kind of regional event or something specific to Fair Lawn, we do in partnership with the borough. And I might suggest that instead of having task force take on the huge topic of school security that has a lot of different elements to it, that maybe the timing would be good to have a task force help plan such an event for the community in the fall, as one step that, to give community voice on these issues, to provide some dialogue of what we can share as a district and from the borough, to meet the leaders who are overseeing this aspect of our community and schools, and that it might be helpful to have a multi-stakeholder planning committee to plan such an event for Fair Lawn. So that's that.
Okay.
Okay. So now my 3. So I guess on that I'll bring it back up at the July 31st shared services, but if any board members have further thoughts or comments about that, please feel free to let us on the shared services know. Okay, so the other 3 items, hopefully quick. So one is a question for the administration. You said that the action plan for the long-term strategic plan should be completed in 2 weeks. I'm just wondering what happens after that, especially in terms of the board's review and involvement with that document.
Then the action plan is presented to the board.
How and when, and can you be a little more specific? Or you're not
At
sure?
a Board of Ed meeting in sometime in the future, but the plan would be approved by the board.
Okay. I wanted to ask if there is a way for elements of the strategic plan to be shared at committees first, just like we review aspects of the
I think
budget.
that's a great suggestion, but it's.
Sure.
Okay.
Everybody's just hanging on to that
Okay.
word?
Okay.
Sure.
Okay, great. The other item, as we anticipate construction on the middle schools, gearing up for that, I'd also would like to request a discussion at some point around the implementation of our soft borders policy, and to begin getting a sense of when we could possibly be phasing that out as we phase in the 5th grade and the middle school solution. And maybe that's something we could discuss at a policy committee meeting, since soft borders is a policy, to understand how it's working and what we might anticipate its future being as we gear up for a permanent solution. So I just wanted to raise that
A few people in front of you.
possibility.
Just a question. Was that not just a 3-year policy that we would
Well,
have to
it's
review?
it has a
if we
sunset
extend?
provision.
It has a sunset,
2
right?
years. It's 2-year sunset provision,
That's
which
right.
we can extend if we want to, or we can
Extend
let it
or
sunset,
it go.
depending on
I just want that
the,
for record.
you know, depending on the circumstances. So, I'm not sure exactly what you're looking for.
I'd like to know how many children from each neighborhood elementary school have been subject to soft borders over the period.
That I think we can get.
Yeah.
Grade levels, receiving
I will-
schools, sending schools.
Emily and I spoke earlier, and I said, you know, after the summer, when the school year starts, I think it'd be a good conversation, speak with Mike Shansky, see where we're at, and with our soft border numbers, and see how many students, where we are, especially after we see how many families move in during the summer, maybe October, November, when
Yeah,
it all
that's the
settles.
prime time for people to move
Good time to
in.
look at our data and where we're at with it.
Okay.
Okay, and then my final, thank you, my final item is just foreshadowing future discussions about the school calendar. I know that's something we don't discuss until January, but given what's transpired this past year with absences around particular seasons where staff are taking the day away anyways, yet school is still technically in session, weather issues, like the snow days, the 95-degree weather we're going to have on Monday, extreme heat, more likely at the end of June, as well as a discussion about election days, and in general, sense from some parents that the earlier they can get that calendar, people are planning travels and family visits, the sooner they know what the school year calendar is going to be like, the easier it is to make sure their kids are going to be in school then. So I just wanted to request to administration and see if we could get the temperature of the board on possibly discussing the calendar earlier next year, or beginning to discuss it, maybe not approving it, to work through some of these issues to arrive at an updated plan on what calendar makes the most sense for most people.
What do we usually do, February?
Well, we vote on it, so we discuss it in September, October, November, we start discussing a lot of different things.
Mhm.
We'll get the final.
Well, given the temperature of the town, sorry, no pun intended, about Election Day and February and Martin Luther King Day, and maybe we should discuss it earlier and get some more input, because it seems to me that when we do the calendar discussion, it's, we give it a quick once over with the board, and then at the public meeting, we go on for an hour about it. So maybe we should take Emily's suggestion and talk about it a little bit earlier and dedicate time just to that one topic, or, have maybe a work session, because it does take a long time, and you're sitting here for 3 hours of public meeting, an hour of it's for the calendar. There's a lot of things. If you read, there's 3 election days, and everybody wants it to be closed for all of them. So how do you do that? You know, and then you've got the holidays. So, so that's I think that's a very good idea. Let's bump it up a little bit earlier. Talk about it in January, and
We do
just
talk about it in January.
then December.
You adopted it in February. so
Okay.
yes.
Well, you know, but when we
Yeah.
talk about it in January, though, it doesn't get. I don't think it gets the kind
Well,
of
because there's a
attention it should.
timeline attached to it, like, you feel like you gotta get it done, so there's less conversation.
Well, maybe we should have more. I think we should have more conversation.
We have also talked about it earlier.
Okay. Ida? Okay. Mike?
Changing back to a couple of things that have happened in district. First of all, I understand that the music awards at the high school, that went really well. I apologize I couldn't attend, but there's so many. Yeah, that was the problem.
Yeah, we did.
Last night's dinner for Mr. Marcelli, and I've been to a lot of retirement dinners, and I have to say that, and a lot of nice things are said about people at retirement dinners, but last night was just generally a good feeling. And Jim, I met you when I was substitute teaching down at Memorial, and I could tell then what kind of principal you were. Very impressed then. When you moved to the high school, and I got on the board and I saw you at the high school, I've been nothing but impressed. I've been nothing but impressed on what that high school is. That high school amazes me every time I walk into it. The feeling at the high school, the amount of activities going on at all times of the day and night. I don't think I've ever walked into the high school for any meeting, anything, where there wasn't something going on. And yeah, it's teachers that do it and that run all these things, and I appreciate that, but there has to be a leader, and that's what you were. And it was said last night, you're a true educational leader. You have taken that high school to new levels. You're going to be I don't want to keep clicheing stuff that you're going to be a tough act to follow. That's obvious. But the word that I kept hearing and stuff was gentleman and integrity last night, and I wholeheartedly agree. And I'm so happy I was able to make it to that retirement dinner, because, I mean, I thought that the ceiling was going to cave in on me.
Oh, those kids are stomping. Oh, man.
Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. But congratulations. And, you know, I just wish you, I know we did this already, but I'd be remiss if I am so looking forward to next Thursday night, to what you have to say, and to watching those kids as they're crossing, graduating from the high school, because I'm sure they're going to have. I'm sure you're going to have a lot more rocks this year than your. What is it? What do they give you?
Marbles,
All depends. Depends, and they don't tell you.
They should be giving you cash.
Yeah, but
I don't know about that. Hold on.
And I sent you the note today. Your family, they're absolutely adorable. So, congratulations, and I wish you all the best. We're gonna miss you. Feel free to come stop by a meeting.
He's going to watch the meetings on YouTube. Yeah, you got a bunch of people to go for it.
Oh, okay, that's all right.
Mark.
I don't want to be repetitive, Jim, so I won't say what the others have said. The event last night was really, really beautiful, and a true testament to the type of character that you have. The thing that I realized was, though, that you're going to have a lot of free time now. And I know that you were attending meetings, you were attending events, all your days and all your nights were filled up. So if you have any spare time, and I don't even know if your wife wants you home or not, different environment. But if you do have some spare time and you want to occupy all your nights, run for the Board of Ed.
Have to move to Fairlawn.
You have to move to Fairlawn. Ron, Cindy, Mary, now we gotta wrap this up.
All right, well, Jim, you know I spoke to you. I actually attended the PTA dinner Monday night because I could not make it last night. I had a previous engagement and it bothered me, but I was able to spend time with Jim on Monday night alone, and we had a very nice dinner. It was great. So you know how I feel about you. I told you Monday night, and I consider you a really good friend. Thank you for everything you did for this district, but also for my children. I just wanted to ask one other thing. Was the dialogue scheduled tonight? Because didn't have it on my calendar.
It was scheduled.
I thought we canceled it last month.
No, we canceled May's.
Well, then I didn't hear it because I wasn't at the main meeting because of my thing. So I apologize for not being there.
No, I think it was on the, I mean, it's on our, I think it was on the meeting list, if I'm not mistaken.
I might have missed
Should have
it.
been on the meeting.
I might have missed it, so I apologize.
That's okay.
So, that's it.
Okay, Cindy.
I just wanted to just not dialogue, because we're not supposed to dialogue. I just wanted to comment on the stuff that you were talking about with the shared services and a bunch of the items. And I was just wondering if it's not premature and maybe we should wait for the security director to guide where we're going as far as the board and shared services. So I just wanted to put that out there.
Let me just address that. I got an email, Nick got an email from the mayor, and he wants to meet with Nick, Jimmy Van Kroonigen, and me to talk about security. So we'll get a better idea of what their thinking is. Just be the four of us, I don't know, what is it, 22nd? Yeah, so we'll let you know what they have to say. Because, you know, right now it's in such flux that so I think we'll have a better idea when we talk to just the four of us.
There are a lot of balls up in the air, especially with the security director position.
Yeah.
We'll be moving forward with. So I mean, there's a lot of moving pieces and parts right now.
Mary.
Very short. If you want to know why Jim is the way Jim is, then you have to talk with his mother. And I had the honor of talking to your mother. And
the one that
so
climbs the ladders still.
Anytime you want to lend me your mother, I would be very happy to borrow. I'd take her to Maine if she's a good cook. She's adorable.
Okay, well, I think we've... Okay, Dawn.
Am I allowed to speak now?
Well, we were kind of done with the public, but, you know, for you, go
Well,
ahead.
just about some things that a couple people said.
Okay, get up. Go ahead. Get up.
All right, don't have to
Not
Fairlawn High
assault.
School. The first thing is the property that's being discussed and being possibly being put up for sale. And I don't know, is that property allowed to be used for anything for the?
Let me get that property. It was deeded to the board in the 50s, and there's a deed restriction that says if we want to do anything with it, it has to be approved by the Borough Council. So if we want to sell it, they have to approve it. If we want to build something, they have to approve it. If we want to make it a rock garden, they have to approve it. So anything that gets done to that property has to be a joint decision by both bodies.
And to expand upon that as well, anything that the board wants to do with property that's owned by it, even if it has a covenant with the borough, would have to get Department of Education approval to make sure that it's not necessary for school purposes or something along those lines. So if we were just trying to sell it for profit, the Department of Education would most likely turn that down. If we were going to use the property, say to turn into a playground or a field or something along those lines, we'd get approval.
That's what I was wondering, if it could be used for, a playground, a field, possibly something for the environmental club or something like that. It would be, a green space or something, so I didn't know if that was,
No, I can tell you, I didn't know that we needed Department of Education approval. And I didn't know that they're going to deny it if we wanted to make a buck off it.
Well, I mean, it depends. If this is property, say like for instance in another district that we represent, there's a school that has been used for decades. They're just going to get rid of it. It's an analysis that goes into it. So say it was property. Also another issue that's come up is I had a borough where they had property that had environmental damage, so there was absolutely nothing we could do. The board would have gone bankrupt if they tried to fix it. So it depends. It's not necessarily a yes or no, and I don't want to couch it as that. It's just a hypothetical. But you do need to get the Department of Education to either approve or deny.
So another bureaucracy involved.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and then my second question, I just, hope everybody's open to the idea, if there is something that property could be used for, that would be for the betterment of the schools, that, we consider that also in addition to, just looking at hospice side. The other question was in regards to what Mr. Spindell brought up about 2,000 absences in May. Who did you say the absences were?
That's all employees.
That's all employees, okay. And also, and maybe Lisa, you might be able to answer this unless you know, does that include school business absences? So if a fifth grade teacher takes their class on a field trip, that's listed as school business, even though that teacher doesn't need a sub, that is still a school business absence.
I don't know, I'd have to check that.
Okay, so, but that's a possibility that all the trips that go out during the month of May, being that, was the, take their kids out on trips.
I'll look at it, I'm not sure. Yeah.
Okay, so that, okay, but that's a possibility. But it's not just,
It's a possibility.
yeah, it's not just people calling out.
Okay.
Is that correct? Is that a correct statement?
I don't want to answer that until I look
Okay.
at it again.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Dawn. Okay, now, we are going to recess in the closed session, and I think HIB is the only thing. HIB. Oh, there's one other thing, what personnel issue we have. So can I have a motion to recess?